Online, he called himself Giovanni, and he wooed vulnerable people into a trap, urging them to send him money. The feds say it was a romance scam by a man based in Nigeria, and now that man, Franklin Nwadialo, has had his day in court and is headed to prison. The U.S. Attorney's Office here in Western Washington State says he tricked 8 victims out of $3.5 million during a 15-year-long run of scams. He was arrested when he arrived on U.S. soil in Texas in 2024. The man, known as Giovanni, used fake IDs and a cover story that he was deployed overseas and could not meet in person. Prosecutors say he sought out older, divorced, and widowed victims. This week in U.S. District Court in Tacoma, he was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison.
Hey there, buddy. Hi. Are you okay?
A Clark County deputy smashed a window to rescue a toddler trapped in a locked car in 92-degree heat. The little boy was sweating heavily and not responding. The close call that happened last month is a reminder of how quickly a vehicle can turn dangerous for a child. Consumer Reports testing found that even on a mild day, the temperature inside a closed vehicle can rise rapidly.
In our testing, on a 61-degree day, the temperature inside the vehicle got up to 105 degrees within just 1 hour.
According to NoHeatStroke.org, hot car deaths have involved children ranging from newborns to teenagers. Some of those tragedies happen when children get into a vehicle on their own, but in most cases, the child was unintentionally left behind. That's why safety experts recommend making a habit of checking the back seat every time you park.
You can also create a habit of placing your own things in the back, like your phone or your bag, so you're forced to check it when you exit the vehicle.
A fencing champion suffers a massive heart attack. It happened May 9, 2026 at a Seattle gym, and it truly was a case of the right people in the right place at the right time. Jan Patterson, who has been fencing for decades and has been recognized on a national stage, was doing his regular routine. He's at this gym usually 3 days a week, but all of a sudden on this day he became unresponsive. He was lucky that there was a nurse to the left of him, a nurse to the right who were fencing. There was also a doctor who was at the fencing gym that day and a physical therapist. They worked on him. Paramedics rushed to the scene, got him to Harborview, and today he is okay. And he is sharing his story, saying that before all this happened, he was feeling some symptoms. He was feeling like he was short of breath. His doctor had recommended that he had some additional testing done, but he put it off. His message to everyone is don't wait. If you feel like something's wrong, get it checked out.
A river rescue gone wrong, and then a second crew had to save the rescuers. I just got this drone video courtesy of Sky Valley Fire. 5 people trapped in Skykomish River debris near Ben Howard Road, east of Monroe in Snohomish County. Logs, branches, current pinning them down. The first boat on scene, well, it got stuck in the same trap. That's when Boat 31, as they call it, stepped in. 2 runs through brutal river conditions, and they were able to get every single person out. But while all of this was happening, the same crews were dealing with a brush fire, 3-car crash, all at once. Apparently, this is what a Sunday shift looks like, especially this time of year for Snohomish County Fire and Rescue. Now, here's why it matters for you. December's floods changed the landscape of so many rivers. The debris fields are new and the hazards have moved. So what may have looked safe last summer just might not be anymore. The advice from firefighters, wear a life jacket, scout your route, and if you see debris, just don't gamble. Get to shore.
USA! USA! Having all these people around us, is there anything better?
Not surprised. I think it's awesome. I think it's way better that people are doing that than congesting up the roads.
I stayed away from it because I don't want to be stuffed like sardines. Normally on a Mariner game, when everybody first gets out, it can take you about anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour just to get on one light rail. I want to say wait times were up to 2 to 3 hours after when both stadiums were getting out on that game day on the 19th.
Bail is set at $10 million for the 23-year-old man accused of fatally shooting a man in Kent last month. According to court documents, on May 24th, Robert Owsley opened fire on Marcus Presley in an apartment parking lot in Kent, shooting him 9 times. He has pleaded not guilty to the charges of first-degree murder and unlawful possession of a firearm. Court documents allege less than 2 weeks after that shooting, Owsley was driving more than 130 miles an hour on State Route 18. He crashed, killing 3 passengers inside the car. That case is still under investigation.
Known for cinnamon rolls the size of a hubcap, the Maltby Cafe has stood here in Snohomish County since 1988. Soon it will stand no more, but don't get all worked up. While this building is being torn down, it is going to be rebuilt just across the road. Developers are developing this entire site, bringing in retail and additional housing. And in order to do that, they are going to have to tear the beloved building dating back to the 1930s down. We've spoken with the owners here of the cafe. They say they are completely okay with this. They understand that this is progress. They are just grateful that the cafe will live on just across the road in another form. Different building, same great food, same incredible cinnamon rolls.
In Mason County, a dog is safe tonight after being rescued from a steep hillside. This happened in the area of East Eagle Point Drive in Shelton. Volunteers with the Washington State Animal Response Team used rescue equipment to bring Bo down about 300 feet to safety. He reunited with his family after being stranded on that hillside for more than 6 hours.
I have an update for you on a King 5 exclusive. A King County Superior Court judge says the 100-year-old Masonic home of Washington in Des Moines can be demolished and upholds the city's environmental review of the project. Hundreds of you reached out with comments and memories about the building and property since our last 2 reports about the now denied appeal. Here's a look at the judge's decision. We also have it for you on king5.com. The group that filed the appeal, Citizens for the Protection of Des Moines Historic Resources, says the city should have studied the impact of future development on the Masonic Home of Washington site before allowing demolition. But the judge says no, ruling any future development is not directly caused by knocking down the building, which means it did not have to be analyzed under state environmental law. The decision also points out the current property owner, Zenith Properties LLC, has no concrete redevelopment plans yet, making any potential impacts too speculative to require review. The legal challenge was fully dismissed. I spoke to the president of the Citizens for the Protection of Des Moines Historic Resources after this decision was handed down, who told me, quote, "We are working with the family of the original architect, Frederick Heath. A new appeal in a different court is being discussed. We know a lot of people have connections to the historic building. They're joining in the effort to save it, and that's inspiring." Some of you have reached out to us about investment into the property by other organizations or companies like McMenamins. The group that filed the appeal told us they did reach out to McMenamins about the property within the past 6 months to a year, but was told the company is not taking on a project of that size at this time. Again, you can see our full report, plus look at those court documents on King 5 and stay with us for any other updates.
The Kraken made a trade over the weekend. They send a first-round pick in this year's draft, 25th overall, and also a second-rounder next year to Florida for Mackie Samoskevich, the 23-year-old forward, a former first-round pick of the Panthers. Played a few games with Brandon Montour at Florida and also a season with Matty Beniers at Michigan.
I played with Montour a little bit my first year. It was only a couple of games, though, so I was able to be around him, and he's such a great leader, so I definitely know I'm in for a good one there. And obviously with Matty, too, playing a full year with him at Michigan was, we were able to grow a great relationship there, and, definitely stayed in touch throughout the years. So he was one of the first people I called for sure yesterday, and, definitely fired up to kind of get back with those guys. They're such good, leaders and obviously players, too.
Fans of Sleepless in Seattle, you might recognize this neck of the woods. Greetings from Seattle. We are on Lake Union. I'm aboard a 46-foot sailboat to talk about sharing the zone. Maybe that's a new term. Here in Seattle, it is very important. We share our beautiful Lake Union with a lot of air traffic, seaplanes. It is a cool thing to witness, but they need some space when they take off and when they land. That's why they have branded it the zone. Mind The Zone. There is a strip there on Lake Union and a lot of major bodies of water where they have seaplanes. And when you see those buoys lit up, when you see them flashing, that's their way of telling you, hey, they want you to move away from those advisory buoys at least 200 feet east or west of the buoys. So get out, enjoy the water this summer, but make sure you mind the zone.
One of the biggest stars of the tournament isn't even on the pitch. Meet Merlin. He's a 2-year-old duck living with his owner in Mexico City. So naturally, he reps the El Tri, which is the Mexican national team jersey. El Tri is short for El Tricolor, 3 colors of the Mexican flag, green, white, and red. And he's quickly become the tournament's unofficial mascot when photos and videos of Merlin went viral. Though he's a novelty to the new viewers on social media, he's a familiar face for the people of Mexico City.
We were just working at the time. We never imagined it would go so viral. We were walking down Reforma Avenue when a young woman filmed this, and that's when everything took off.
I just love that he's waddling into hearts all over the world.
This summer, I'm thinking about SPF. I'm thinking about getting tan. So I want to know, what are your favorites in your beach bag?
Okay, well, let's start with sunscreen, most important.
Yes.
Okay, this is my favorite face sunscreen. The key ingredient is beef tallow, but I promise you that it does not make you smell like
beef?
Like a hamburger, barbecue hamburger. No, it smells great and it works really well.
Okay, I gotta smell that.
And then you're also gonna want this mineral powder as well for reapplication. It's very hard to reapply sunscreen when you have makeup on, and this works really great. And then, I don't know about you, I always get a little bit of sunburn in my part.
Because our hair is always up.
Hawaiian Tropic has an SPF 30 hair and scalp that's really, really light, so that doesn't, mess up your hair. And then my favorite self-tanner this year is by Loving Tan. This is their 10-minute express smoothing body mask. It goes on so smooth. It is really foolproof. What you're gonna wanna do before you put this on is a full body exfoliation.
Tell
and
me
if
more.
you have coffee grounds, like used coffee grounds in the top of your coffee pot, take that into the shower and rub that all over. The caffeine kind of wakes up your skin. It's a hot tip that I learned from a model on a bathing suit photo shoot like
then say
15
less.
years ago. And I do it all the time.
Okay, if a model's doing it,
If the models are doing it, then we're doing it. Yeah.
So this is where the dessert will be.
A retired ferry with a second life as an event venue now sits at the center of Alexis Robertson's wedding dreams.
It's the most perfect venue on the water.
But Monday morning, those dreams nearly sank.
I'm the New Day Northwest senior producer here at King 5. Because I'm in the news business in King 5, I heard from one of our assignment desk people. They said, "Girl, have you heard about the Scansonia?" And I was like, "No, what's going on?"
Just after 6:45 a.m., a maintenance crew spotted trouble and called for help. The 165-foot vessel was taking on water fast. Firefighters raced to the scene.
Our equipment was able to pump out about 1,500 gallons per minute, so more than 10 times their capabilities.
It sank very fast, so I have divers coming down to check out, make sure nobody smacked the boat in the middle of the night.
But a critical line of defense held. Years ago, the owner reinforced the vessel with a steel hull and a flotation system built for moments exactly like this. The boat is stable, but the clock is ticking.
We're booked for the season. There's going to be some unhappy brides, but hopefully we can make this all happen quick.
Your heart sinks, and I just started tearing up. I'm shaking because we're less than 2 weeks out from my date, and we were having a huge wedding reception. There were family flying in. It's just your worst nightmare.
Alexis has been planning a July 4th reception with her new husband, King 5 reporter Sebastian Robertson.
I've been planning this since we booked this last summer.
With 96 guests on the list, the morning emergency has the couple in a full race against time.
I'm hoping to get another venue on the water if worst case scenario, but hopefully it doesn't really come to that.
Some good news coming out of the Green Hill School. The state agency that runs the maximum security juvenile facility says 5 students this year graduated with college degrees. And across the state's entire juvenile rehabilitation system, 175 young people have earned college, high school, or vocational certificates. For instance, 5 kids graduated from the state barbers program. No small thing, because it's 1,000 hours of curriculum. So they'll have opportunities when they get out, which is the whole idea. The new secretary of the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, which runs these programs, told us earlier this year that Green Hill is making a turnaround. As you know, if you've been watching the King 5 Investigators, we've been reporting for years on problems there. You can see our special report, Secrets of Green Hill, now streaming on YouTube and King 5 Plus. It includes an interview from DCYF Secretary Tana Sen explaining the changes the agency has made to reduce overcrowding and misconduct inside Green Hill.
Most bartenders measure success one drink at a time. Jesse measures it by the second. Behind this bar at Dark Room near Seattle, there's a bartender with national championship speed on tap. Jesse Larson already won the 2026 Northwest Regional Competition and is now headed for the finals for Speed Rack, an all-women high-speed bartending competition. It is the industry's fiercest for women bartenders, and they go head-to-head in fast-paced showdown speed, skill, and precision. And perhaps the coolest part of all is that a portion of proceeds for Speed Rack events go to support breast cancer-related charities. Jessie isn't accustomed to all this attention. In fact, she hasn't been doing this that long. She admits it was after college she was looking for a job that would inspire her, and she found it behind the bar. You can join Jessie for one last practice behind the bar on July 13th there at Dark Room, and she'll head to the competition and compete in the finals July 19th in New Orleans.
It's one thing to say that I'm talking online and I know a guy and I have connections. It's another thing to actually have the connections and put in motion the production of drones. If it wasn't for the intervention of law enforcement, I do believe they could have carried out maybe not the plans that they had ultimately hoped to achieve, but certainly they could have caused a mass casualty event at the White House.
21-year-old William Lee Faulkner of Mason County is now accused of being part of an attack plan targeting the White House during a UFC event held for President Donald Trump's 80th birthday. He's now charged in federal court with conspiracy to commit murder. Court documents say the alleged scheme involved drones carrying explosives to force an evacuation, followed by armed attackers moving in as people fled, including so-called high-value targets. The FBI says the group discussed targeting billionaires and members of Congress, and they say the plan was stopped after a suspect's mother in Ohio contacted the FBI. The FBI also says this was part of a much broader attack plot, a conspiracy they say spanned multiple states and jurisdictions. But investigators say it was the UFC event that ultimately moved the case into action and triggered law enforcement's response. He was taken into custody Friday morning, just hours before the FIFA World Cup match in Seattle. He asked a judge if he could be released to care for his grandmother, but that request was denied. He could spend the rest of his life in prison if convicted.
Well, I am back in Longview as we continue to follow leads in that horrible industrial accident that happened at the plant that's right behind me here, the Nippon Dynawave packaging plant. You may have already heard about the new release of state records this week showing that the tank that imploded in May, known as G-Tank, had a problem with a pressure safety valve that, according to records, was not repaired for at least a year, maybe longer. Now, we don't know if that had anything to do with the tank of white liquor, as it's called, rupturing, but that's why we're here, working to try to find out more information. The families and loved ones of the 11 workers who died in this accident certainly deserve to know the truth of what happened, and so does this community, which is still grieving. So if you have specific information about G-Tank or the operations at that plant, Nippon Dynawave, you can reach us at investigators@king5.com. That's our email. Or you can call us at 1-888-557-8679. If you like, you can leave information anonymously, but we would really appreciate it if you would leave your contact information so we can follow up with questions, which is something, of course, that we often have. We will not share your name or your contact information with anyone. That's our promise to you. Thank you.
Oh, you were first? No. I was just sitting Woo-hoo. Hey, that recording.
Western Neon in Soto is known for some of the most well-known neon signs in Seattle.
We were the first neon art gallery in Seattle.
Now they've taken on their biggest project yet, putting in thousands of hours of work to build these 8-feet-tall whale flukes called selfless stations. There's 26 of them all over the region.
You're talking close to 225 hours for each one.
They created 500 additional smaller versions called beacons, now hanging in the windows of local businesses.
These beacons is approximately 30 to 60 hours.
I've been doing this for 38 years.
William Kirtley is the lead glass bender. Each glass neon tube has to be torched and sculpted by hand.
You kind of have one shot at this. You have a pretty short window of working it.
But why are they called selfless stations?
Each selfless station benefits a nonprofit. They're really designed for somebody to want to capture themselves as a selfie.
Each one was sponsored. The money was put towards projects meant to outlast the World Cup itself. Projects like the Unity Loop, a walking route for tourists linking the stadium to neighborhoods like Pioneer Square and Capitol Hill.
The hope with the Unity Loop is really something like the Highline Trail in New York or the Freedom Trail in Boston.
But for the owner of Western Neon, Andre Lucero,
this is another level on a global scale.
This is more than just a build.
Growing up playing the sport, my father is a German immigrant, first generation, and he brought with him the love of the game of football. So anytime we feel a little bit stressed of trying to get through it, that's part of the passion.
And I'm told that these will be a permanent fixture in public spaces throughout the city. And the smaller versions in store windows, the hope is that those will remain as a reminder of this historic moment in Seattle. In Seattle, I'm Christian Malderas, King 5 News.